Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel. So, welcome to Black Hippie Lounge, and today is part 2 of Each One Teach One, where I discuss the importance of education in the Black community. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Arysa, Sutherland, and Marcus Jones, who both have experience working in education. So, welcome you guys. Can each of you just give a brief overview of what you do for a career and what about this topic interested you? So we'll start with you, Marcus.
Yeah, so I've been working in special education, the past 6 years. So right now, I'm a special education teacher at Milton High School, and I'm also a lacrosse coach. So I've been coaching for the same number of years as well. And I was really drawn to this topic because I think education in the Black community, is important. It should be a priority for everybody,
Mm-hmm. Nice. And what about you, Arysa?
So I used to teach ELA for 6th grade for a few years, but then I decided to make a switch. So I'm currently finishing up my last semester in the school counseling program, and hoping to get a job as a counselor. But I'm currently working as a per diem substitute in Boston Public Schools.
Okay, nice. Congrats. I know you're almost there.
Thanks. And I really like this topic because there's so much to talk about with Black education, and there's so many issues that aren't spoken of very often. And so I just think it's really important to talk about all of those issues and to also talk about the great things that's happening in schools with our kids.
Great. Thank you. Well, thank you guys both for joining. So the first question I want to ask both of you is, what is the importance of having a Black male or female teacher in schools today? We'll start with you, Arysa.
So honestly, I didn't always want to be a teacher. Before I got into education, I had a job where I had little interaction with people, and I was like, I definitely need some type of interaction. But I thought I would give teaching a try. And so it took me a while to, really enjoy it. But I realized at a certain point that, I'm making a really big impact on a lot of students. And so it's really important that the staff members and the teachers really reflect who the students are. And unfortunately, we don't in a lot of schools, especially in Boston. And so it's just really important that, we advocate for our kids, and that we try our best to really help them and support them. And I feel like a lot of Black people can, really help with that.
Right. Okay, and what about you, Marcus?
Yeah, I think students need teachers who look like them because, obviously we can put them on a level where, teachers who aren't of color really can't, right? We can empathize with them at a greater level where we can truly understand what they're going through, because most of us have probably gone through that same exact thing,
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So another question I have for you guys is, how has your work and school experiences influenced how you view education, and why it's important to have more Black male and female students, more Black and male and female teachers within education? Like, how has your experiences, in undergrad and just, you both say you're teaching, so how has that, if possible, changed your views views on education? I'll start with you, Marcus.
You know, going off of my undergrad and my master's program, you know, I was like, most likely I was the only black kid in the class. You know, very rarely there was another black male in my class in undergrad and graduate. So it's like, you know, we need to change this narrative that it's okay to do well academically. It's okay to want to go to college. You know, that's a normal thing. You know? And I think that students, that they need teachers who care about those types of things. And also, you know, I don't really think my experiences have really changed my view on education. I think it just sort of reinforced and enhanced them. Because I always believe that, you know, education equals opportunities, right? So now I'm telling kids, yes, education does equal opportunities, but then opportunities, you know, equal wealth and stability, you know, and I can offer you a different type of lifestyle. And again, you know, black males, number one, you know, I hate to say it, but number one, you know, statistical category of students who are falling behind, right? They're achieving the lowest compared to their white peers. I think, you know, seeing somebody in your building every day, you know, has a great impact on you. You know, for example, I have students who I don't even have, you know, they're just in my school and they're black, right? And they see me in the hallway and they walk up, you know, and they dap me up and say, "Hey, how's it going, Mr. Jones?" You know, and I don't even have these students. So I'm seeing the impact, just being present, how it really can change them, you know?
Right. No, that makes sense. And what about you, Arysa? How has your, I know you say you switched careers to, you know, you're doing the teaching, but now you want to do guidance counseling, right? So what made you want to do that switch, or, you know, how has your experience been to change your views?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with what Marcus was saying about, you know, how we can really empathize with kids and, you know, be an image for them, to show them that they can do it. And sadly, a lot of our kids get the short end of the stick depending on, you know, which school they attend or the district that they attend school in. So for example, like I had a lot of sixth graders who were far below grade level in terms of reading and writing. And I'm not faulting their previous teachers. It's just, you know, a fault in the system. And that perspective really came to light as I was teaching. So, you know, we just really have to advocate for our kids and challenge them and, you know, just try our best to support them and especially praise them for even the smallest accomplishments that they make. And I really struggled. I had 2 different classes and there were 30 kids each in those classes. And so a lot of them just had a lot of different needs. And I really struggled to try to meet all of their needs at once. And so that kind of hit me and was like, okay, there's so much more that I want to do on a one-on-one level, which sort of led me into why I wanted to go into school counseling, because I really wanted to be able to advocate for kids on an individual level, and really help and support them in that way, because it's really hard as a teacher. And, you know, for any people who want to become teachers, you have to be really passionate. And I was definitely passionate as a teacher, but I just wasn't like, I don't think that that was the right fit for me. And so you also have to really figure out where you fit in within the school. And if it's not teaching, it could be like an administrator, or you can be like someone who is in some sort of support role if you really want to work with kids. There's so many different things that you can do, and it's all about just, you know, figuring out where you fit in best.
Right.
And how you can best support your kids.
Right. No, that makes sense. I think that's great that you know, were able to recognize that maybe, you know, this wasn't the right fit for you, and like you want to do something else within education, because we also need more guidance counselors that look like us as well. I know for myself, just being in being in high school and having guidance counselors who were white and not really feeling comfortable coming to them about certain things, you know? So I think it's definitely important to have more people that look like us in all areas. And I think it's also important that like you said, you recognize that it wasn't for you, but you still want to be within the school system. I think that's important too, because I think sometimes you see teachers who are not necessarily happy where they are, but they're just staying with it, and then it reflects on how they teach too.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's
important too. All the time.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely important that people recognize you do have to have a passion for it, and you do have to really care about the students. So yeah, trying to think. So what suggestions would you both offer to any young men or women who might want to follow in your career path as far as working in education? We'll start with you, Marcus.
Yeah. I would second what Arysa was saying, where if it's not teaching, there are plenty within education that you can do. For example, for my story was, I started out as a paraprofessional for years. And then there, I said, I want to do more. I want more responsibility. So I went back to school, and then I got my master's degree, and then I began lead teaching, right? So I think if you want to get your feet wet in education, I think being a paraprofessional is a great way, because you're working hands-on with the kids, like you're on ground level with them. You're right there in the classroom, you see everything that's going on, and from there you can really gauge if it's really what you want to do. So I suggest starting out as a para if possible. You could even volunteer, work on an after-school program. You could even start coaching. Just start, involving yourself, with children, whether it's academically or through athletic. Some more suggestions, because education, can be expensive. So I would say find grad programs or other programs where they will pay for you, to go to school, right? And with that being said, there are example programs like the Dunniman program through BC, where they will literally pay your graduate degree as long as you dedicate 3 years to working in an urban area. I think people need to take advantage of those opportunities, because again, student debt is also an issue. So I would suggest people do that, because learning through my own example in my own life, I can see how it can be tricky, and even passing some of these exams to get your teaching license can be a challenge as well. So making sure that you do adequately prepare, you take prep courses, and things like
that. Right. Yeah, I didn't even know about that program that you mentioned at BC. So basically, definitely like making sure you do your research and figuring out what's available to you. That's very important. And what about you, Arysa? Any suggestions for any young women who want to follow in your career path?
Yeah. So I think no matter what you do in the school, you're definitely going to, make an impact on your kids. And it can be either a positive or a negative impact. But, try to make sure it's positive, because kids are always going to remember who you were to them. So that's definitely really important. And also, like, a big misconception is that, a lot of white people who work with, the misconception is that a lot of white people who work with our kids don't necessarily care for them, and, they're just in it for the money. But, that's not necessarily true. I've met so many amazing teachers where that wasn't the case. And, if you're planning on going into education, you're going to come across a lot of teachers who are white and who are people of color who don't care. So, you just have to use your discernment when you're working with people, because a lot of people are going to bring in a lot of negative energy, and you don't want that going into a school building. So definitely try to surround yourself with the right people and people who are going to help build you up and bring you through, because it is a really tough job to work with kids, and it's also really rewarding. So, make sure you get the help that you need, and to, just keep an open mind and to be solutions focused and to have a kids first attitude, because you're going to be collaborating with a lot of different people. That way you can support your kids, and you're going to have to learn to work with everyone. So, just making sure that you're in a good place for, you to be able to help kids, because it's all about them at the end of the day.
Right. And I know, like, what's going on right now with this whole COVID-19 and how everything has been changing for our students. And now I know for the rest of the school year that they are not going back to school. So, as teachers yourselves or just working in education, what advice could you give to students right now who might be feeling, discouraged, might have already checked out or thinking of checking out? What can you tell them that when they're in this type of situation right now? We'll start with you, Arysa.
So I guess first off, I'd want to tell them that the school year is not over and to make sure that they're still, doing their work. Because a lot of students have checked out, but it's also important to keep in perspective that, they still have work to do. And I know it's really difficult and it can be hard for a lot of kids, especially those who don't have access to technology. So, even going on their phones and trying to do their work through that can be very helpful. But, just trying to stay connected with your friends. Zoom is very popular now. So, even trying to connect through Zoom or one day we'll all be together again. So, yeah. As corny as that sounds, it's true.
Yeah. What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, I would second that to people, who you care about and people who you like conversing with, and it's okay. This is a difficult time, everybody. The only way we'll get through it is to get through it together. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. And, like Arysa said, the school year is not over. So, I would try your best to get out of the right mind state to do it. Just try and push through it. Because again, at the end of the day, at this point, everybody's responsible for your education. It's not just your teachers or your parents. You got to kind of step up and take that role on yourself as well. And also, this is a great time to try new things. You can discover a whole set of things that you're passionate about that you didn't even know. You can take on new hobbies. Stay active and things like that.
Yeah, that's good. Those are good things to keep in mind, especially for students, because I know, all different grade levels they're going through. It's different. It's a tough time for them, but it's definitely, like you said, a time that they can take advantage of and make it work for them. So let me see. So I'm gonna end it with a quote that I found that I think resonates with both of you. The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires. And that's from William A. Ward. And I think that definitely reflects you both within education. So thank you, for being great teachers. And I just want to say thank you for you guys, taking the time out to join me today and offering your words of encouragement. I would definitely say just keep going. We're, super proud of you guys and the work that you do within education. And just thank you for being on here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you. Anytime.
No problem. Okay.
You too.
Thank you guys.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hello, listeners. This is Chanel. So I want to thank you for continuously listening to my episodes, whether you listen every week or just whenever you can. I really appreciate the support and the great feedback that I've received from all of you. It's definitely much appreciated, and I want to continue to keep building the podcast. So definitely have a lot more ideas and episodes that I want to do, some more interviews that I want to do, but I also have to practice what I preach. So I feel like this podcast is focused on like mental health and self-care and taking care of yourself in various ways and making sure that you're good. So with that in mind, I have to make sure that I'm good. And I am wrapping up my semester. I'm very, very excited for that. It has been a long drawn out semester, and I'm very much over it. So anyway, this is my last episode for right now. I'm gonna take a little break in between because I have a break in between spring semester and summer semester, so I'm gonna take advantage of that, do some things that I've really been trying to do this whole semester. So I will be back to give more episodes. It's just I need some time for myself right now to just like chill and not have to think about any other type of obligations, even though I do love doing the podcast. I want to come back fresh, and I want to have good energy and, rejuvenated mindset. I just feel like my mind has kind of been depleted with this semester, everything that's been going on. I'll be off probation for my job, so, I'm happy for that. Finally, officially a member of the health commission. But anyway, despite that, I just need to take a little break, and so I can come back full effect with some good energy, I got some good topics that I want to keep talking about. I got some great ideas as far as like having some group discussions. So yeah, we're gonna come back full effect. It's gonna be summer. I don't really know what's gonna be happening by then. I'm praying that we can be out and about if possible and enjoy the summer. But like I said, I really appreciate anyone who listens. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I appreciate the feedback, and I thank you for just tuning in. And I will be back. I'll be back recording once I start my next semester. So I'll give myself like a week to get used to my classes. So I'm planning to come back June 3rd. I believe it's June 3rd. Yes, June 3rd will be the next episode. I've already done 10 episodes. That's a lot. And I was doing that while, in school, working, and living life. So, just taking a break. So anyway, yes, Black Hippie Lounge will be back June 3rd. In the meantime, you can listen to all the episodes that have been recorded. They are available on numerous platforms. You can follow on Instagram at Black Hippie Lounge. You can follow on Twitter at Black Hippie Lounge as well. You can follow me on my personal Instagram too if you want to. It's at Whoa Nelly. It's I'm pretty sure the link is in the Black Hippie Lounge Instagram page. But yes, so just take care of yourselves during this time that I'm gonna take off, and I look forward to getting back into it on June 3rd. So until then, take care of yourselves, and don't forget, meditate, manifest, and invest in you. Thank you.